Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have an exciting and innovative program to share with our audience, and let's get to it. This session is about our Cash Edge cash guarantee purchase program. I've been in the business over 30 years, and this is a really innovative approach to address some of the challenges that our buyers and sellers have today. So without further ado, let me introduce our team. First of all, about us, Nick Taylor's on the line. Hey, Nick.
How you doing? Nice to see everybody.
Yeah. So a little bit about us. We have over 30 years experience in the business. We're licensed in 7 states. We are the Ratti Lending team at Envoy Mortgage. And yes, we understand that most people that buy homes have jobs, and those jobs are typically 9 to 5. So we do work evenings and weekends to help our buyers and sellers with their goals. All right. What we want to talk about is the Cash Edge program. The Cash Edge program is truly a disruptor in the industry. It's a cash guarantee behind our buyers' offers. This was developed through focus groups of top producing real estate teams across the country. It is a guaranteed closing. It's actually better than cash. It's guaranteed. And there's advantages for both buyers and sellers. So, Nick, why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, kind of addressing the benefits to both buyers and buyers agents. Like David had mentioned, it's preferred over cash. And the reason being is we're guaranteeing that it will close. When you get a cash offer, there are still things that can come up that are going to prevent that closing. When we submit an offer with one of our qualified buyers through this program, there is no worry there. It is guaranteed closing. And when we say guaranteed, we mean we at Envoy are guaranteeing to buy the home. So once you put that date on the contract, that closing date is locked in. Typical for a contract, you're going to underwrite the buyer and all that, pre-approve them, pre-qualify them. But the difference being with Cash Edge, we do the underwriting before the contract's accepted. So our buyers are completely ironclad before they even submit that offer. So there's a lot more confidence there. And as a result, there are no financing contingencies. And as you would expect with a cash offer, there's no appraisal contingency. We're doing all the research on our back end so that once that offer goes out, once that contract's accepted, everything is already done. And like I had mentioned before, it's 100% guaranteed to close. How it kind of helps buyers agents, again, that guarantees a huge benefit. When you submit that offer, that listing agent knows, I don't have to worry about this one. Even if it's, just that listing price and they have a couple above, they know that that one is going to close. They don't have to worry about their, seller going 28 days into the contract, getting to closing, and then, hiccup comes up, we got to start all over. So huge benefit there, and you're going to win more contracts. The difference between this program and a typical conventional loan is really only that there's a minimum 5% earnest money deposit. So what that means is rather than your $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 earnest money deposit or EMD, the 5% that you would normally have as a closing cost or down payment is going to be the EMD. And the whole purpose behind that is to make sure that the buyer is as committed to purchasing this home as we are, since we're guaranteeing it. So it's not 5% more that they're going to need to close. It's just 5% that they're going to need prior to the closing as the earnest money deposit. As far as rates are concerned, like I'd mentioned, everything else is standard, is conventional through and through. So rates are going to be exactly the same as they would be on a 5%, down conventional mortgage.
Terrific. The advantages are not only for the buyer, but also the seller. And by the way, when Nick was mentioning that 5% EMD deposit, that actually helps the buyer look stronger to a seller when they're making that kind of commitment. So let's talk about what it does for listing agents and for sellers. First of all, it almost feels like with this limited inventory, there's more licensed realtors than there is actually homes available for sale. So it's very competitive to win that listing. Imagine when you go in and talk to your seller and make a listing presentation with the premise that you can provide them a very high opportunity to receive a cash guaranteed offer. And that's what Cash Edge does. So it offers more opportunity to receive cash offers. The financing and appraisal contingencies can be waived. The listing would just need to add in the remarks that the seller prefers cash offers or Envoy Cash Edge offers.
And before we go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. And it's a guaranteed closing, which is even better than a cash offer, because when you receive a cash offer, hopefully you have evidence of funds, but they still have to write that check and go to closing. With our guaranteed closing, if the buyer for some reason doesn't perform, the loan doesn't get done, we guarantee the closing to go to closing on time. We pay cash for the house on behalf of our borrower. We're sort of putting our money where our mouth is. And that's why it's even better than a cash offer, because it's guaranteed close. Go ahead, Nick.
And I would say, the one thing we've heard with all of our kind of listing partners is just like David mentioned, there's really a struggle right now to stand out. Everybody's going in and trying to win those listings. It's really difficult right now because, not a lot of people want to sell when they're going to have to purchase again once they sell. So when you can go in and make yourself stand out apart from all those other listing agents, it's a huge advantage to you, because like we had mentioned, it's not something anybody else in the industry really offers. And it's something that is going to give that seller peace of mind. They know, okay, once we get this thing under contract, we can start looking for our home. We don't have to worry about this thing getting canceled and having to start this whole process over. So it really is a huge advantage. And we've heard that from our listing partners.
Excellent. All right. That's a brief outline of the buyer advantages, seller advantages. Let's do a questions relative to the program. A lot of the questions we get. So Nick addressed this, but rates. Whenever we talk about Cash Edge and this program, we get the question, well, is this like a subprime or private equity type of rate? It's not. It's standard conventional financing, and it is conventional. The program itself is conventional financing. Questions about the pre-approval. As we typically do, we do a standard pre-approval. We collect the pay stubs, the bank statements, and the W-2s, and we submit it to an underwriter. So it's fully underwritten. And that's where we put our money where our mouth is the once we've underwritten the loan, even if the buyer loses their job in the middle of the contract, we still will continue on and proceed and purchase that home. And that's why it's a guaranteed closing.
I see a question in the chat, Dave. Somebody's wondering, how long does it take for that process to go forward? So obviously, we can normally do a pre-approval in an evening if everybody, the buyer gets all the info.
Yeah.
So how long can they expect for this process, since we're also including the underwriting? How does that typically take?
Great question. So once we pre-approve somebody, let's say, it's a Wednesday evening and we go ahead and get them pre-approved. We'll have them upload their financial documents. We'll submit it to underwriting. Typical underwriting turn time, let's call it 48 hours. Okay.
And then I see another question that actually kind of leads into the guarantee. So they're kind of wondering, all right, when I submit this offer, how does that look, if it's conventional? So when you're submitting the offer, it will be a conventional offer. Mm-hmm. The difference is when you submit the offer, there is an addendum in there regarding Cash Edge that explains to the buyer, and you'll include with your offer, what exactly is happening here. And so they get a better understanding of, while this is, quote unquote, a conventional loan, all the appraisals are waived. We're guaranteeing the purchase. So it, is different than just submitting a conventional offer. There's a lot of documentation there that kind of speaks to how committed we are to this and what it really means to receive a Cash Edge offer. I miss anything there, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. And we call them offer docs. So when a property is identified, we do an AVM, which is an automated valuation on the property. And that's what enables us to waive the appraisal contingency. And we provide offer docs. So the great thing about the program is once they're pre-approved, we submit the loan approval for Cash Edge review. Cash Edge review is 1 to 2 minutes, and they get a welcome email, including you as the agent will receive the welcome email into the Cash Edge program. Couple things to be aware of. This is for single family homes, detached townhouse. If it's condominium, it would have to be a 4-unit regime or less. So we don't have to go through the condominium approval process with Fannie and Freddie. But once we have identified the property and you put that offer in, imagine that they have 3 offers. You know, one is 20% down, one is FHA, and then all of a sudden you have this Cash Edge, like a guaranteed, the company is actually guaranteeing to close it regardless of the buyer's situation.
I also see somebody asked, you know, what's the actual turn time once we have the contract? So I actually received this question yesterday as well.
Yep.
Once we have that contract, it's a minimum 21 days to close. Now, that might sound like a lot, but 21-day turn time and closing time is pretty good. And, you know, like we had said, you know, all the underwriting, all that's done on the front end. So that 21 days is really for us just to verify everything, get all our ducks in a row. And again, it's guaranteed. So we can set it 21 days and it'll close in 21 days. I think as far as marketing, you know, we have a plethora of different marketing options that we can co-market, co-brand, and we'll absolutely provide to you, your team, the listing agent, the seller. You know, we do everything we can to have kind of the resources for you as the buyer, you as the buyer's agent, the listing agent, the seller. We want to make sure everybody's as informed as possible. You know, so we're not just working, you know, with you on the back end and saying, all right, well, you need to tell them this. We'll talk to anybody involved in the transaction and make sure that everybody's very comfortable and kind of explain how this, you know, is going to work so that everybody can get to closing and feel good about it.
Great. And we have another question that comes in. How do you market it? Do you share the listings and Cash Edge on in Facebook or social media and so forth? And absolutely. So we have the marketing, both for social media marketing, direct mail. And the best part is we have co-branded marketing, one piece directed to the buyer, another piece directed towards a seller. So you can put it in, for instance, part of your listing presentation package. You can include the co-branded piece to explain why working with you gives your seller the edge, or Cash Edge, as it were.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, you know, it's not just for Cash Edge that we help our listing partners, you know, share their listings. Like David mentioned, we have a co-branded website that, you know, all we have to do is put in that MLS number and we pull up the listing and we're able to kind of share it up social media, create a custom site for you, and, you know, make sure that home's getting the visibility it needs.
Absolutely.
I think that about wraps us up. I don't see any more questions at the moment, but contact info is on the screen. If anybody has any questions, concerns, would like to hear a little bit more, feel free to reach out to either David or I. And like you mentioned, we're available even weekends, so reach out anytime. We're happy to help, and we will make sure we do what it takes to get the deal done.